Well, here we are. I'm just testing out the iPad2 that arrived by FedEx a little while ago. I ordered this thing on March the 11th when they first became available for ordering, and they said it'd be about a 2 or 3 week shipping time, and it was. And this is a fantastic little device. If you're not familiar with the iPad, I don't know how you couldn't be, it's been publicized quite a bit. This is really the Cadillac, or the Premier, the BMW, the Mercedes-Benz of these tablet computers. I didn't buy this to do any kind of computing on, although I'll explore it to see what it can do with its many applications. One of the reasons I got this was that I'd like to be able to stay in touch with students via email, no matter where I'm at, and this is actually easy enough for me to do it. The iTouch that I have, which I've also explored, has such a small screen that with kind of thick fingers, you wind up having a tough time hitting the right letter all the time with the keys that are presented on the screen being so small. This one actually is much nicer in size. Very light, very nice quality, comes in a very nice package, very attractive. And all in all, I bought this and the iTouch so that I could continue to research these contemporary devices that I think are going to have a lot to offer in the way of learning, especially distance learning. Now, the format of books that I'm using this time, this spring term, in both of my courses, GPH-205 and CSC-200, both those courses have essentially one electronically readable item that is the course materials. That's an ebook. In the case of CSC-200, it's a lot of reading material plus links to videos, some e-reserves, various other things. You could accomplish a lot on a mobile device, assuming you could read a PDF, and that mobile device would then be able to take you to various videos and play them. The GPH-205 also uses an ebook, but I haven't put as much time into that lately. I haven't had the time to invest in that, in fact, to revamp that so that it will eventually become, much like CSC-200, a self-contained ebook. And in both cases, these courses no longer use a learning management system like D2L or Blackboard. They do rely on an a la carte, let me put that differently and pronounce it correctly, they do rely on a la carte use of an LMS. That is the Moodle LMS, to which I subscribe on behalf of my students. And the nice thing about Moodle is when you click on a link that I provide to get into an exercise, for example, you pass through an authentication screen, but then you wind up at that exercise in Moodle. The student doesn't really ever have to do anything with the learning management system as a learning management system. It's just there as a place to house the things that need to still be housed on it, which would be discussions, exercises, which are packaged as quizzes, but they can be taken many times, or a final exam, which is only taken once, but is also housed on that system. And I don't use that system for anything else. It isn't necessary. The content certainly is not placed in the learning management system. It's in the ebook. And it's much easier for the student to get that and to minimize all sorts of extraneous cognitive load. Students don't have to really figure out this arcane software and fiddle with widgets and everything else that appears on that sort of a site. I think it's kind of a dated conception that people will sit at a computer and that's how they will interact with this software classroom. That's a 1990s idea. Well, this is 2011, and we have a lot of other nicer devices around now that can make you portable. I think we have to actually address that issue. And my personal opinion is that the learning management system as we know it is going to fade away. It's going to be too much of a bother for people to maintain it, and it's too expensive, both in terms of its licensing cost and maintenance and upkeep. It just isn't necessary. I think we'll get a much greater buy-in by liberal arts faculty and other faculty, non-technical faculty, in this approach, which much more closely resembles traditional academic publishing. And we will have to rely then much less on formal software as a learning management system, so much so, in fact, that subscription use of an LMS, such as I do with Moodle, will be taken for granted. It isn't necessary to do anything more complex than that because it's pretty much like any other web resource, you either get it free or you pay a little bit for it, and it becomes accessible. The thing that ties them all together is not this software trying to be a classroom, but it's the ebook. It's the ebook which is directly authored by the course author, the faculty member who puts it together. So the faculty member can dwell on pedagogy and presenting information and combining information resources for the benefit of the student. The faculty member doesn't have to worry about learning the way somebody someplace else decided that a course should be presented and package that up in some sort of a learning management system which has a lot of features to appeal to lots of different kinds of environments, and everybody has to learn complexity in order even just to do something simple. That's not the way people want to work. And I think the thing that's going to break it all open is this ability of mobile devices reading ebooks that link to resources on the web will naturally just drive those other things from the market. I personally would not invest in one of those companies at this time. I don't see their future being that rosy. But that's just my 2 cents. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. This is Jim Janossy. I'm currently teaching at DePaul University on a part-time basis because I've retired from full-time work. Now I have even more time to dedicate to researching this sort of a tool for advancing distance education and distance learning. Check back on this blog for additional postings in the future. Lots of very interesting things coming out. And do take a look at the ebook. It's out there on the web for everybody's access. To get it, one link exists at www.c4e.us. That's a very easy to remember web address. Of course, you're here at this blog, and I will put a link here to that textbook as well. Let me rephrase it. I will put a link here to that downloadable free ebook which demonstrates this concept of the course in an ebook rather than a learning management system. Bye-bye.